Hey, welcome to Bikes, Boats, and Bivouacs. Today, we're going to de-winterize the Toyhauler and get her ready for the new camping season. First thing I check when I'm de-winterizing is the gas systems. So I'm going to turn the gas on at the canister, and then we'll go inside and we'll test each one of the gas appliances to make sure they're operating properly. Okay, I'll turn some lights on in here. Alright, so my refrigerator works on gas and electric. The stove is gas and the heater is gas. So we want to start cycling through all these and make sure they're working. So we'll turn the thermostat on. We hear the fan kick on and then the furnace will start. We'll turn the refrigerator on. The A stands for automatic, so it'll sense if there's electric. You can see it switch from the E to gas. So it's going to kick on gas, and we have a green light here. And then the stove, let me put this down for a second. The stove is gas, so we'll turn the burner on. Make sure that works. Turn this burner on. Okay, so we can see both burners are working. So they look good, so we can shut them down. Got hot air blowing out. Now I always open up a vent just a little bit, especially if you're going to have people in here, because as you breathe out moisture. So when you're heating the inside, that moisture can accumulate. So if you have at least a vent open, one of the vents a little bit, it prevents that moisture from being trapped in here. And you see everything's working good. It'll take a little bit for this to cool down, and this will come on and shut off as the temperature comes up. You can see it's below 50 right now. Today it's supposed to go up to 54. Alright, so next we're going to start working on the water system. So the water system has been winterized, so I'm going to plug into my city water pressure and flush all the lines, and then we'll go through the process of sanitizing the water tank for when we're boondocking. So we're going to go through that process. It takes a little bit of time, and I did buy new water filters. I put a new water filter on my hose every year, so this is a good time to hook that up and get all the little particles out of that, so that that's ready for the new season. So that's our next step, the water. So in order to work on the clearing the water lines from the de-winterization, I had to pull out my bins that I store underneath here. You can see storage goes all the way through, and you can access that from underneath the bunk also. But you can see I have my stuff organized in containers. So I have a container for all the electrical stuff, the water lines, sewer system, site setup, and this is propane for my outdoor grill, and then miscellaneous stuff, a couple of wine glasses. But this is the bin we're going to be working on. And these are my new water filters. So I'll throw the old one away. You get a year out of these with the way I camp. So I'll use one of them for this year. And then if we use it a lot, I have the second one. If not, that one will wait till next year. So we're going to get that all set up next. Okay, so I hooked up the hose to the water pressure inlet. Remember, if I'm boondocking, it does have a separate system with a water pump where I can fill the freshwater tank. And we'll be sanitizing that tank later, but first I want to get all the the antifreeze out of the pink antifreeze out of the system. So I took off the old filter. See, here I have a splitter, and then I have a pressure valve here to make sure that it's not too much pressure. And then this is the new filter. So I just want to turn that water on. Guess I'll shut that valve off. And maybe we'll turn this valve on. See how the charcoal came out of there? So we want to clear all that before we hook it up to the hose. Because, you know, it's been sitting in charcoal. Right. Okay, now it's running clear. So now I'll shut that off. And I'll hook it to my water line. My white water line, that is the fresh water line for consumption. And this is my outdoor hose I use for hosing things down. And I never mix them up. So I always keep a separate line for the water. So hook that up. And now I can hook my hose up to it. Okay. And we're all hooked up. Now we can turn the water on. See, there's no leaks there. There's no kinks in the hose. And I generally leave my valves open. So we might see water running when we're inside there. We want to drain out all that stuff out of there. As you can see, the pink stuff coming out of the water line. So we want to make sure that drains clear. You can still see it foaming a little bit. Now I switched it back to hot, so we're running through the hot water lines now. That's why you saw additional pink stuff coming out. So we'll just let this run so we see it clear. So while that's running, I'm in here to the bathroom. Same thing with the toilet. Gonna run that till the water's clear. And the same with the shower. We want to run that till it's clear so you can see the pink stuff. So we shut that one off. Alright, now we're going to switch to the other side. Get all the pink stuff out of there. That's coming out now. You can see it's coming out now. Okay. So we know we got that done. Now we can fill up the water tank and we want to sanitize it. Okay. Now that we got the pink stuff out of there, our next step is to close the hot water heater bypass valves and fill that thing up with water, and then we'll run that through, through the lines just to make sure that works. So that's our next step, and to reach that I have to lean in underneath the bed. So check that out. Let me get you in here. So this is the bypass that you use if you're winter camping. So I flip that valve open and then this valve open. So now the cold water goes in there and then the hot will come out here instead of nothing going into the tank and it just recirculating. That's what we're doing there. Once we get that done, then we are ready to sanitize the water holding tank. So that's up next. Now depending on the type of water heater you have, a lot of times they'll take this anode out when you winterize. So when I started this process, I double checked to make sure that was tight. What I failed to do was check the pressure relief valve. So this was held open. So the water was coming out here. So I shut that pressure relief valve now. And you know, if you ever get high pressure, that'll blast it out of there. So make sure you check both of those. I will check and see if we get good pressure. Then we can check our tanks over here. Batteries 2/3. Fresh tank is empty. Black is empty. The gray is 1/3 because all this water from the shower and all is draining into the gray tank. Now I put sanitizer and deodorizer in my tanks, right? So I have these little packets that you drop into the toilet tank to keep it from smelling bad. For the gray tank, this Thetford gray water odor control, I just drop some of that down in there and then it sloshes around in the tank and does a good job. So I'm going to add a little bit of that right now for the gray tank. And you don't have to do this every time, right? This is once in a while. Just going to pour a little down there. Let the water rinse it down into the tank. So our gray tank is ready. I also like to test the carbon monoxide and smoke detector. And that's right here. We do have a green light. I tested it earlier, it went off. So I know we're good with that. But make sure you test that on a regular basis because it could save your life if something goes bad. So we're moving on to the water tank. And to sanitize the water tank, we put 10 gallons of water in here with a 1/4 cup of bleach. And we let that slosh around in the tank and we run all of our water lines inside. And then we flush that out. And then we fill up another 10 gallons with a 1/4 cup of white vinegar. Let that slosh around, run through our lines, drop that out of there, and then put regular fresh water in there and just clear our lines, and then our lines are sanitized and ready for use. So that's the next step. 1/4 cup measuring, regular bleach. Of course, this stuff could be hard to find right now. Okay, so that's our 1/4 cup. Doesn't take a lot. Okay, so that cup in return. Done with that water connection. Now I'll put some water in there. 10 gallons. That's filling up. So the way we can check that is with the tank gauge inside, because we don't need tons of water in there. The refrigerator is nice and cold, so we know that's working. I can shut that off. Now in here, on my unit, this is under the refrigerator. I had to take this panel off because this hose right here, that is for sucking in the antifreeze when you winterize. And then there's 2 valves in here that you got to switch back so that the pump can work under pressure and not, you know, continue to just work in vain. Okay, looks like we have enough water in there. Remember, that water swirls that Clorox around in there while it's going into the tank. Run all of our water lines again. But this time, because I'm not on the city water line, you know, the water pressure from outside of the camper, I have to turn the pump on. And that pump switch is right there. This is the water heater. Got good pressure. So we are now ready to go. So far so good. I anticipate this whole process takes about, including loading, you know, redoing the beds and putting all the stuff in the camper, I'm gonna say it's about 3 hours to get everything ready for the new season, which isn't too bad. I'm gonna make the beds and bring the pillows and all that stuff out here, and I've put in my container of stuff. I have to get a plastic container that fits in here so it doesn't slide around, for utensils and that kind of stuff. And then we're ready for the season. Okay, so we went through the whole process on the water. We checked everything. Everything's working, and we look in here. The light's on. I got my cast iron pots in here. I got the beds made. Look pretty comfy in there. So there's our pasta pot. She's ready to roll. Hey, if this video helped you, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, helps me out a lot. Also ring that bell, you'll be notified every time I put up a new video, and give the video a thumbs up. Harley wants you to see her in the next video. But more important than all that, go have some fun out there. Thanks for watching.